3 years invisible. The secretary who took my place as Mrs. Gu. At the celebration banquet, I stood outside the private room and heard someone ask Gu Yanzhou with a laugh, "Mr. Gu, things between you and Secretary Zhou are pretty serious. When are you going to invite us to the wedding?" He set down his glass, completely lost. "My wife is Shunzi. Didn't you know? I am Shunzi." And I was standing at the door, holding the stomach medicine I'd brought for him, watching the laughter of the whole room get cut off like someone had flipped a switch. 3 seconds ago, it had been as lively as New Year's. 3 seconds later, no one spoke. I glanced inside. Zhou Nianqing stood at Gu Yanzhou's side, wearing a light apricot dress, her hair done up delicately, holding a glass of warm water she'd just swapped in for him. The stance, the positioning, the practiced ease. Honestly, if I didn't know I was his wife, I might have believed it too. "Huh," someone said, dumbfounded. "Mr. Gu, you're married." "Duh." Gu Yanzhou frowned. "Been married 3 years. You didn't know." Another silence. I leaned against the doorframe. Not going in. Not that I didn't want to. I wanted to see how much longer this act could go on. 3 years. I'd been married to Gu Yanzhou for 3 years and had never attended a single one of his company events. Not because he didn't ask, but because I couldn't be bothered. I had my own job, my own rhythm, and I didn't care much for those schmoozing, clinking glass occasions. But I never expected that in the 3 years I stayed away, someone would take my place. And she'd stood there pretty steadily. Someone in the room tried to smooth things over. "Oh, misunderstanding. Just a misunderstanding. Everyone's had a few too many. Yeah. Let's move on." But I noticed that no one looked toward the door. No one knew I was here. Gu Yanzhou didn't see me either. He was frowning, looking impatiently at his colleagues. "What have you all been gossiping about? Spreading rumors that my secretary is my wife. How ridiculous is that?" Someone gave an awkward laugh. "Can't blame us. Mr. Gu, you two are together all day, every day. Same car. Same neighborhood. She lives in company-provided staff housing. It's not weird that it's in the same neighborhood as my place." Gu Yanzhou cut him off. "The company arranges apartments for executive secretaries. It went through HR. Go check the records." The guy shut up. I looked down at the stomach medicine in my hand. Before I came, I'd thought, he's been socializing all night. His stomach's bad. I'll drop off the medicine and leave. Now, I put the medicine back in my bag and turned away. My high heels made no sound on the hallway carpet. Behind me, voices from the room drifted out again, trying to salvage the mood. I didn't look back. When I got home, the living room light was still on. I changed into slippers, tossed my bag on the couch, and went to the kitchen to pour a glass of water. My phone buzzed. A message from Gu Yanzhou. "Tonight's event runs late. Don't wait up." I stared at the message for 5 seconds, typed back, "Okay." Then I put the phone face down on the counter. "Don't wait up." As if my head was full of that scene just now. Zhou Nianqing standing beside him, handing him water, blocking drinks, swapping out his glass smooth as silk. Practiced like she'd done it 100 times. And everyone had been calling her future boss's wife. She hadn't denied it. Not once. I took a deep breath and told myself not to overthink it. Gu Yanzhou had set the record straight. He'd said it in front of the whole company. He'd even said my name. But the question was, if no one had brought it up tonight, would he have mentioned me at all? 3 years. No one at his company knew he was married. Was that intentional on his part? Or did he just think it wasn't worth mentioning? I didn't know, but I did know one thing. All those times Zhou Nianqing enjoyed being mistaken for his wife, my name never once crossed anyone's lips. The next morning, I was already out by the time Gu Yanzhou got home. I spent the whole day at my studio. For the record, my work has nothing to do with Gu Yanzhou's company. I'm an independent financial consultant. I take private clients. No office. No networking. Most of the time I work from home or at my studio. That's why no one at his company had ever seen me. At 3 in the afternoon. My best friend Tao Ran called. Z. Did you go to Gu Yanzhou's company celebration banquet last night? I tucked my phone between my shoulder and ear. Flipping through documents. Stopped by for a minute. And then I came home. Tao Ran paused for 2 seconds. You heard something. Didn't you? My hand stopped. How'd you know? A friend of mine works in marketing at Yanzhou Tech. She told me today. Said there was a huge misunderstanding at the banquet last night. The whole company thought Gu Yanzhou was with his secretary. And then he announced he'd been married all along. I didn't say anything. Z. Tao Ran lowered her voice. That secretary. Has she been pretending to be you? Pretending to be me. She'd put it perfectly. Not really pretending. I said. She just never corrected anyone. Not correcting is the same as confirming. Tao Ran's voice got urgent. Aren't you mad? I thought about it. What good does getting mad do? Xin Zi. Tao Ran used my full name. You're way too laid back. Someone's practically sitting on your head. And you're still this calm. I closed the file. I'm calm because I trust Gu Yanzhou. He said my name in front of everyone last night. He said I'm his wife. That's enough. Tao Ran snorted. And Zhou Nianqing. She's been playing this role for ages. You're just going to let it slide. I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure myself whether I should let it slide. Gu Yanzhou came home early that night. I was on the couch looking at my tablet when I heard him come in. I looked up. You're back. Yeah. He changed his shoes and came over. Sitting down next to me. Did you bring the medicine last night? I kept my eyes on the screen. I did. You didn't see me. He paused. You went, stood at the door, listened for a while. Gu Yanzhou turned his head to look at me. I could feel his gaze. But I didn't look up. You heard? He asked. Yeah. Heard what? I finally looked up and met his eyes. Heard that the entire company thinks Zhou Nianqing is your wife. Gu Yanzhou's expression changed. Not guilt, more that here we go again irritation. I already made it clear last night. You made it clear. I nodded. But before you did. How long had that misunderstanding been going on? He didn't answer. Gu Yanzhou. I put down the tablet. 3 years. And not one person at your company knew you were married. Is that normal? He leaned back against the couch, rubbing his brow. I don't like bringing my personal life to work. You know that. I know. I said. But when you don't say anything, other people fill in the blanks. And look, they filled them in pretty neatly. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he reached over and pulled me against him. So I was leaning on his shoulder. Mad. I didn't move. No. Liar. I'm not mad. I said. I just think it's a little ridiculous. He tightened his arm around me. I'll handle it. I didn't ask how. Because I knew that for Gu Yanzhou. Handle it probably meant sending a message in the company group chat or casually mentioning it during a meeting. He didn't think it was a big deal. But for me, 3 years of being invisible wasn't something a simple I'll handle it could erase. The next day, I went to my studio as usual. I had a few new messages on my phone, screenshots from Tao Ran, Yanzhou Tech's internal forum. Someone had posted. Shocking. Mr. Gu is actually married. Anyone know who his wife is? The comments exploded. No way. Really? He said it himself at the celebration banquet last night. How could it be fake? Then what's Secretary Zhou supposed to be? He said it's just a work relationship. A work relationship could be like that. I don't buy it. Believe it or not. The real wife is someone else. Anyone know who Shenzi is? Never heard of her. Probably not in the industry. Not in the industry. Then how did Mr. Gu meet her? Blind date. Haha. Mr. Gu on a blind date. That's a hilarious mental image. I scrolled through the comments. My face calm. Until I saw one. Honestly, I think Secretary Zhou is a better match for Mr. Gu. Same social circle. Both in the company. They know each other inside out. This Shen Ziho is she. I can't even find her online. That comment had a dozen likes. I put my phone down. Can't even find her online. Yeah. You really can't. I don't post on social media. I don't attend industry events. My clients all come through private referrals. My studio doesn't even have a sign outside. To outsiders, I'm basically invisible. And Zhou Nianqing. Prestigious degree. Great image. Strong skills. She's by Gu Yanzhou's side every day, going to all the high-end events. If I were a bystander, I might think she was the better match too. Tao Ran messaged again. See that? Aren't you mad? I replied. Not really. Xin Zi, do you even have a temper? I thought for a moment, then typed. Having a temper doesn't mean I take it out on a bunch of strangers. Then who do you take it out on? Take it out on Gu Yanzhou. He's responsible for this. I didn't reply. She was right. Gu Yanzhou did have responsibility, but I hadn't yet figured out exactly what that responsibility was. Was it that he shouldn't have hidden the marriage? Or that he shouldn't have turned a blind eye to Zhou Nianqing's behavior? Or both? That afternoon, I got a call. Unknown number. Hello. May I speak with Ms. Xin Zi? This is she. Hello. This is the HR department at Yanzhou Tech. My name is Li. Mr. Gu asked me to let you know that next Wednesday is the company's annual appreciation banquet. He'd like you to attend with him. I paused. Annual banquet. Yes. The client and partner appreciation dinner. Mr. Gu said he'd like to bring you. I was quiet for a few seconds. All right. Got it. After hanging up, I sat in my chair and thought for a long time. This was his handling it. Bringing me to a company event. Letting everyone see me. Know who I was. Simple. Direct. Very Gu Yanzhou. But a voice inside me said, is that enough? Is just being seen enough? Could all those rumors that had been circulating for who knows how long, the special treatment Zhou Nianqing had enjoyed for who knows how long, just disappear because I showed up once? I wasn't sure, but I said yes. Wednesday, I spent some time picking out an outfit. Not to compete with anyone, but if I was going, I didn't want to look like an afterthought. I finally chose a dark green long dress. I wore my hair down and kept my makeup light. When Gu Yanzhou came to pick me up, he stood at the door for 2 seconds. Beautiful. I grabbed my bag. Let's go. In the car. He briefed me on the event, which clients were important, which partners, so I'd know what to expect. I listened, not saying much. At the hotel entrance, he got out first, then came around to open my door. I stood next to him, looking at the people streaming through the hotel lobby. Nervous? He asked. No, I said, just feeling a little ironic. He looked at me. 3 years of marriage. And this is the first time I'm showing up as your wife at your work event. I looked at him. Don't you think it's a little late? He didn't reply. Just took my hand. His grip was tight. I didn't pull away. We walked in together. The hall was already crowded. As soon as Gu Yanzhou appeared, people swarmed around him. Mr. Gu. Good evening, Mr. Gu. And then all their eyes landed on me. On his hand holding mine. I could feel the curiosity in those stares, the sizing up, and a little bit of disbelief. Someone murmured something I didn't catch, but I saw Zhou Nianqing. She was standing not far away, holding a folder. Wearing a neat professional suit, her face wearing a standard smile. When she saw me, her smile froze for a split second. Just a split second. Then she walked over. Mr. Gu. I've confirmed the banquet schedule. The VIP area is on the 2nd floor. She said this without looking at me at all. Gu Yanzhou nodded. Okay. Then he turned to me. This is Zhou Nianqing, my secretary. Then to her. This is my wife. Xin Zi. Zhou Nianqing finally looked at me. Hello, Mr. Gu. Sister-in-law. She smiled as she said it. Sweet voice. Graceful manner. Not a single crack. I smiled back. Hello. Just that simple. But I noticed that after she said that, her fingers pinched the edge of her folder. Very lightly. But I saw it. After the banquet started, Gu Yanzhou led me from table to table, greeting people. At each table, he introduced me. This is my wife. Simple. Direct. No extra explanation. But those 4 words set off a buzz through the entire banquet hall. I could feel the whispers behind me. So that's Mr. Gu's wife. She's okay looking, but seems pretty ordinary. Ordinary. That dress she's wearing isn't cheap. So what if the dress is expensive? Secretary Joe has way better presence. Shoo, don't talk like that. Mr. Gu is right there. I heard it. Every word. But my expression didn't change. I wasn't here to compete with these people. I was just here to let them know I existed. During the toasting round, a middle-aged man came over with his glass, grinning warmly. Mr. Gu, congratulations. First time seeing the wife. She certainly lives up to your taste. Gu Yanzhou clinked glasses with him. You're too kind. General Manager Zhang. The man looked at me. And what does the wife do? I was about to answer when another voice cut in. The wife doesn't come out much. Mr. Gu keeps her well protected. It was Zhou Nianqing. She had appeared again at Gu Yanzhou's other side, holding a glass of warm water she'd prepared for him. Answering the question with a smile. The tone, the positioning, the natural ease. Exactly the same as before I'd shown up. General Manager Zhang looked at her. Then at me. A subtle glint passed through his eyes. I didn't say anything. Neither did Gu Yanzhou. He just took the water Zhou Nianqing handed him, took a sip, and set the glass down. Ziyi is a financial consultant. He answered Zhang for me. Independent practitioner. Oh. Zhang's eyes lit up. Independent. That's impressive. Anyone who can take private clients these days has real skills. I smiled. You flatter me. General Manager Zhang. Zhou Nianqing's smile didn't waver. But she took half a step back. A very small half step. Maybe others didn't notice. I did. Halfway through the banquet, Gu Yanzhou got pulled away by a few partners for more toasts. I sat alone in the VIP area. Before long, a woman came over with a drink and sat down next to me. Early 30s. Short hair. Polished makeup. Looked like mid-level management. Mrs. Gu. I'm Zhao Lin from marketing. She smiled, introducing herself. First time meeting you. I hope you don't mind my coming over to say hello. Nice to meet you. She tapped her glass against mine, took a sip, then lowered her voice. Mrs. Gu. I don't know if I should say this. I looked at her. Go ahead. Zhou Nianqing. She paused. You need to keep an eye on her. I didn't respond, waiting for her to continue. She's been here 2 years. From day 1, she's been. How should I put this? Very good at managing her position. Zhao Lin's voice was barely audible, not just professionally. Like what? For example, Zhao Lin glanced across the room to make sure no one was paying attention. She'd casually mention Mr. Gu's personal habits around the office. What tea he likes. What time he goes to bed at night. Which gym he goes to on weekends. She'd say it so offhandedly. Like she was just letting it slip. I held my glass, not moving. Over time, everyone started thinking she must be close to him. Otherwise, how would she know all that? Zhao Lin looked at me. But actually, some of that stuff she got from HR. And some she just made up herself. Made up. Yes. Zhao Lin nodded. I once heard her tell someone that Mr. Gu likes to go to some golf course on weekends. Later, I happened to chat with Mr. Gu's assistant. And he said Mr. Gu doesn't play golf at all. I filed that information away. Also, Zhao Lin continued. Last month during the company health checkup, she told HR to put her medical report together with Mr. Gu's. Said it would be easier to pick them up. HR didn't think much of it and did it. Later, when Mr. Gu went to get his, he found the 2 reports in one envelope and asked what was going on. My fingers stopped on the rim of my glass. Medical reports together. That detail bothered me more than any they arrive and leave together talk. Thank you for telling me this, I said. Zhao Lin shook her head. Please don't mention it. Mrs. Gu. I just can't stand her act. He's someone else's husband, and she acts like he's hers. She smiled again. But Mr. Gu really had no idea. He's the type that, outside of work, almost nothing registers. I knew. That was the problem. Because nothing registered with him. Other people stuck themselves to him. And if you stick long enough, it becomes reality. After the banquet ended, Gu Yanzhou saw off the last of the guests and came back to find me tired. Not really. He took my hand and led me out. As we passed through the lobby, I saw Zhou Nianqing standing near the front desk, still coordinating with the hotel staff. She looked up. And our eyes met. I didn't look away. Neither did she. Just 1 second of eye contact. Then she lowered her head and kept talking to the hotel staff. Once we were in the car, Gu Yanzhou started the engine and pulled out of the parking lot. Was it okay tonight? He asked. Fine. What did people say? I watched the night scenery outside the window. Nothing much. Just curious who I was. He reached over and squeezed my hand. It won't be like that again. I didn't answer. It won't be like that again. That sounded nice, but again was vague. When exactly? The next banquet. Next year's annual party. Or when Zhou Nianqing finally stopped. I didn't know, but I knew that tonight was only the beginning. Over the next few days, the office gossip shifted. Tao Ran texted me that her friend in Yanzhou Tech's marketing department said the whole company was talking about me. Everyone's guessing where you came from. What's there to guess? Exactly. So some people are starting to say nasty things. She sent a screenshot. A chat log from an internal company group. Mr. Gu's wife looks pretty ordinary. I thought she'd be some kind of society lady. Ordinary. I thought she had decent poise. What good is poise? She's not in the company, so she can't help Mr. Gu much. Not like Secretary Zhou capable, pretty, and around all the time. Can't say that. She's the legal wife. Legal wife or not? She was hidden for 3 years. Even Mr. Gu never mentioned her. Do you think Mr. Gu isn't that into her? Shoo. Don't talk nonsense. I closed the screenshot. Tao Ran followed up. Mad yet? I replied. No. You're lying through your teeth. I wasn't actually mad. I just found these people's logic interesting. In their eyes, a wife's value depended on whether she could help out, whether she could be around all the time, whether everyone could see her. If not, then she was ordinary. Not good enough. And a secretary. As long as she stood close enough, smiled sweetly enough, did enough things, could be considered a better match than the real wife. What kind of logic was that? But I couldn't be bothered to argue with a bunch of strangers. I had more important things to do. Friday afternoon, I got a call at my studio. A client. Ms. Shen. That tax plan you did for me last time our board passed it. The results were excellent. Saved the company nearly 8 million. Glad to hear it. Listen, I have a friend who wants to hire you. His company is bigger than mine. More complex. If it's convenient. Could I pass along your contact information? Of course. Send it over. After I hung up, I looked at my phone screen. 8 million. That was a single job I'd taken last month. I'd been in this field for 7 years. After leaving the Big Four, I went out on my own. Not many clients, but everyone came through word of mouth. Small circle, but rock solid. I didn't need Gu Yanzhou's name to survive. I never had. And yet now these people called me ordinary. Said I didn't help out. Ha! I'd show them what helping out looked like. On the weekend, Gu Yanzhou was home for once. I was in the study going through documents when he pushed the door open and set a cup of coffee on my desk. Busy. Reviewing materials for a new client. He sat down next to me and casually flipped through the papers on my desk. Jinha Group. Yes. Referred by a friend. He glanced at me. Jinha is a big operation. I know. Need any help? I looked up at him. No. He smiled. Okay. Then he sat quietly beside me, picked up a book, and started reading. This was the most comfortable dynamic between us. Doing our own things. Talking occasionally. Not clingy. Not distant. For 3 years. It had worked. I'd thought that was enough. But now I realized there was a deep gap between enough and right. There was no problem between us. The problem was outside. In the spaces I couldn't see. Someone had used my absence to fill in the place that should have been mine, and I'd been completely oblivious. Monday morning, I got an unexpected call. Ms. Shen, this is Wang, Finance Director at Yenzhou Tech. Director Wang. Hello, Mr. Gu asked me to reach out to you. The company has a tax optimization project, and we'd like to bring you on as an external consultant. I paused. Mr. Gu asked you to contact me. Yes. He said you're an expert in this area and told me to coordinate directly with you. I was quiet for 2 seconds. All right. Send me the materials. I'll take a look. After hanging up, I leaned back in my chair. What was Gu Yenzhou doing? Asking me to consult for his company. Was he trying to give me a reason to show up at the office? Or did he genuinely think I was the right fit? I picked up my phone and texted him. Did you have finance contact me about a project? He replied instantly. Yeah, the company actually needs it. And you're a perfect fit. Don't you think that's a little weird? Weird how? I'm your wife. Consulting for your company, people will talk. He wrote back. Let them talk. Your professional ability speaks for itself. Anyone with a problem can come to me. I stared at the message and let out a small laugh. Gu Yenzhou was sometimes so oblivious I wanted to hit him. And sometimes so direct I had no comeback. I thought for a moment and typed back. Fine. Wednesday. I walked into Yenzhou Tech's headquarters for the first time. The receptionist froze when she saw me. May I ask who you're here to see? Xin Zi. I handed her my business card. Director Wang from Finance is expecting me. External consultant. She took the card, looked down at it, then looked up at me with a completely different expression. Ms. Shen. Please wait just a moment. I'll notify Director Wang right away. As she made the call, I noticed her stealing glances at me. Clearly, she knew who I was. Director Wang came down quickly. Ms. Shen. Right this way. I followed him toward the elevator. As we passed through the lobby, a few employees recognized me. I could feel the stares and whispers behind me. Is that her? The one from the banquet? Mr. Gu's wife. What's she doing here? I didn't look back. Up in finance. Director Wang showed me the project materials. It was a substantial piece of work. Yenzhou Tech's revenue had grown too fast last year, and their tax structure hadn't kept up. There was plenty of room for optimization. After half an hour of review, I already had a rough plan in mind. Director Wang, I'll take the project. I'll have a preliminary proposal for you next week. Excellent. Excellent. Very professional. Ms. Shen. I stood up to leave. The door pushed open. Zhou Nianqing stood there, holding a stack of documents. Director Wang. Mr. Gu asked me to bring. She saw me. Her words stopped. Just for a moment. Then she smiled. Mr. Gu, what are you doing here? Here for a project. I said. A project. Her smile didn't waver. But I saw her eyes quickly scan the documents in front of me. What kind of project? Director Wang spoke up. Mr. Gu asked Ms. Shen to be our external tax optimization consultant. Zhou Nianqing's eyelashes fluttered. Oh, she said. That's wonderful. With someone as capable as Mr. Gu. I'm sure you'll be a huge help. She set the documents on Director Wang's desk and looked at me again. Mr. Gu, would you like me to take you to Mr. Gu's office? He shouldn't be in a meeting right now. No, thanks. I'm done here. I'll head out. Then let me walk you down. No need. I walked past her. As I passed, I caught a faint whiff of perfume. It was the exact same scent as the diffuser in Gu Yenzhou's office. Exactly the same. I didn't stop. I just kept walking. Outside the building, I stood at the curb waiting for a ride. My phone rang. Tao ran. Z. My friend says you went to Yenzhou Tech today. Yeah. For a project meeting. What kind of project? Tax optimization. Tao Ran paused. You're going to work for Gu Yenzhou's company? Yes. Was that his idea? Yes. Xin Zi. Tao Ran's tone changed. Are you sure that's a good idea? I looked across the street. Why wouldn't it be? Because once you're in that environment, You'll have to deal with Zhou Nianqing Hedon. Are you sure you want that? I thought about it. It's not about wanting or not wanting. Then what is it about? It's about whether it's time. I said. I stayed away for 3 years. I gave up 3 years of space. Now it's time to take my place back. Tao Ran was quiet. After a few seconds, she said, "All right. Then stand firm. Don't worry." I hung up and got into the car. On the way back to my studio, I kept thinking about the perfume on Zhou Nianqing, the same as the diffuser in Gu Yanzhou's office. A coincidence? Impossible. That diffuser was one I'd given Gu Yanzhou 3 years ago. A niche brand. Unavailable in China. I'd had a friend bring it from France. She was using the same scent. That wasn't coincidence. That was intentional. I took a deep breath and filed it away. Over the next week, I started working on Yanzhou Tech's tax project in earnest. I went to the office 2 or 3 times a week, meeting with finance, pulling data, developing the plan. Every time I went, I could feel the way people looked at me changing, from initial curiosity and sizing up, slowly turning into something more complicated. Some people started greeting me. "Good morning, Ms. Shen." "Hello, Consultant Shen." Others still muttered behind my back. "Is she only here because of Mr. Gu?" "Definitely. How else would she suddenly become an external consultant?" "Not necessarily. I heard she used to work at the Big Four." "So, there are tons of Big Four alumni getting Yanzhou Tech as a client. It's because her husband is the boss." I heard some of it. Probably missed more. I didn't care, because I knew that once the proposal came out, the numbers would speak for me. 2 weeks later, I handed my preliminary proposal to Director Wang. He read it in silence for a long time. Then he looked up at me, his expression very serious. "Ms. Shen, if this proposal is implemented, conservative estimates say it could save the company 23 million yuan a year." I nodded. "Yes, conservative. If we optimize the overseas piece as well, we could hit 30 million or more." Director Wang took a deep breath. "I need to report this to Mr. Gu." "Go ahead." He left with the proposal. I sat in the conference room and took a sip of water. 23 million. That was my professional ability. No need to be by someone's side all day. No need to hand them water or block drinks. No need to stand next to anyone to have presence. I let the numbers speak. That afternoon, Gu Yanzhou called me. I read the proposal. "Okay, it's excellent." He paused. "Better than I expected." "Of course," I said. "Did you think my 7 years in this business were for nothing?" He let out a laugh. "No, I've always known you're brilliant." "Good that you know." "Dinner tonight." "Fine." After hanging up, I packed up to leave. The conference room door was knocked on twice. Zhou Nianqing stood in the doorway. "Mr. Gu, all done for the day?" "Yes." She walked in and sat down across from me. "I heard Director Wang was very pleased with your proposal." News traveled fast. "It was fine," I said. She smiled, tapping her fingers lightly on the table. "Mr. Gu, can I ask you something?" "Go ahead." She looked at me, her smile perfectly appropriate. "You never came to the company in the 3 years before. Why the sudden change?" I looked back at her, because I realized that when I don't come, someone else comes in my place. Her smile paused, just for a split second, so short that if I hadn't been watching her closely, I would have missed it. Then she smiled again. "You're joking." "Mr. Gu, I was just doing my job." "I know," I said, standing up and grabbing my bag. "So I'm just doing mine too." I walked to the door and stopped, without looking back. "Secretary Zhou, that's a nice perfume." Then I left. Behind me, there was no sound at all. When I got home, Gu Yanzhou was already there. He'd actually made dinner, nothing fancy, just noodles. But he'd added the egg and greens the way I liked. I sat down to eat. "Did everything go smoothly at the office today?" he asked. "Smoothly. Did anyone give you a hard time?" I glanced at him. "Who do you think could give me a hard time?" He smiled. "Fair point." After we ate, I did the dishes while he took a call in the living room. I heard him say, "Yes. The proposal will be discussed at the Monday meeting." Yes. The external consultant's opinion is very professional. No. I'll handle this directly with finance. Your involvement isn't needed. The last sentence was said in a very flat tone, but I knew who was on the other end of the line, because the only person who would call him about work at this hour was Zhou Nianqing. I put the dishes in the sterilizer, dried my hands, and walked into the living room. He'd already hung up. "Zhou Nianqing?" I asked. He looked at me. "Yeah, asking about the project. You told her she doesn't need to be involved. The tax project was never under her purview." I sat down next to him. "Gu Yanzhou. Have you ever wondered why the whole company thought you were together?" He put down his phone and turned to look at me. "Because they have too much time on their hands." "No," I said. "Because she wanted them to think so." He frowned. "What do you mean?" I told him what Zhao Lin had told me. The medical report incident. The fabricated personal habits. The matching perfume. When I finished, he was silent. Silent for a long time. "You're sure about this?" he asked. "Ask HR about the medical reports," I said. "And next time, pay attention to what she smells like." He leaned back on the couch, pressing his fingers to his brow. "I never noticed any of this." "I know," I said. "That's why I said the problem isn't you. It's her." He looked at me. "What do you want me to do?" I thought for a moment. "Let's not rush," I said. "I want to see how far she's willing to go." He frowned. "You want to test her?" "Not test," I said. "Wait for her to reveal herself." The way he looked at me changed. Not the usual gentle warmth. It was a new kind of seriousness. Like he was seeing me differently. "Shin Zi. You're more ruthless than I thought." I smiled. "Not ruthless. Just someone took my place for 3 years. I want it back." He didn't say anything more. He just pulled me against him. My head on his shoulder. His arm tightened more than usual. In the following days, I kept going to Yenzhou Tech for the project. On the surface, Zhou Nianqing hadn't changed. Still the perfect secretary, but I could feel her watching me every time I went to the office. She would happen to be nearby, dropping off documents as I passed a conference room, getting water as I walked by the break area. Once, when I was on the phone in the pantry, she stood in the doorway like she was waiting for the microwave. I didn't call her out. I was waiting for an opening. It came faster than I expected. Friday afternoon, I finished a meeting and headed to the elevator. When the doors opened, 2 female employees were inside, chatting. When they saw me, they immediately shut up. I stepped in and pressed the button for the first floor. The elevator descended. A few seconds of silence. Then one of them couldn't help herself. She whispered to her coworker, "Did you hear about that thing earlier?" The other tugged her sleeve and glanced at me. The first woman glanced back at me. She probably figured I didn't know them, so she lowered her voice again. "Secretary Zhou told someone that Mr. Gu's wife was an arranged match. No real feelings. Just for show." My fingers tightened on the strap of my bag. "No way. Really?" She said it herself. To Xiao Lu in HR. Xiao Lu told me. They're close. So, Mr. Gu and her are the real thing. Who knows? Secretary Zhou says Mr. Gu will get divorced sooner or later anyway. The elevator reached the first floor. The doors opened. I stepped out. Behind me, the 2 women kept whispering, their voices fading. I stood in the lobby, gripping my bag strap. My knuckles white. Sooner or later. Divorced. She actually dared to say that. I pulled out my phone and texted Tao Ran. She said I married Gu Yanzhou because our families arranged it. No feelings. We'll get divorced soon. Tao Ran replied instantly. I'm coming to you right now. Where are you? Outside his company building. Don't move. Wait for me. 20 minutes later, Tao Ran's car pulled up in front of me. I got in. She looked at my face. Didn't rush to talk. And first pulled over to the curb. Talk. I repeated what I'd heard in the elevator. Tao Ran's face went dark. Is this woman insane? Telling people at work that you're going to get divorced. Where does she get the nerve? She thinks she has grounds. I said. What grounds? Grounds that Gu Yanzhou gave her. Not that he gave her. I said. That she created for herself. She's been cultivating this image for 2 years. Everyone thinks she's close with Gu Yanzhou, even after he denied it at the banquet. She's found other ways to keep that impression alive. Tao Ran gritted her teeth. So what are you going to do? I looked out the window. I was going to wait for her to show her hand. And now I'm done waiting. I turned to Tao Ran. Help me set up a meeting with someone. Who? Your friend in marketing at Yanzhou Tech. Zhao Lin. Yes. I said. I need a favor. Tao Ran looked at me and suddenly smiled. Xin Zi. You're finally going to act. Yes. I said. 3 years of being polite. That's enough. Over the weekend, I met with Zhao Lin at a coffee shop. I got straight to the point. Zhao Lin, I'd like you to help me keep an eye on something. Of course. Mrs. Gu, what is it? I want to know what Zhou Nianqing has been saying about me around the office recently. Zhao Lin put down her coffee cup. You mean? She told someone in HR that Gu Yanzhou and I had an arranged marriage. No feelings. And we'll divorce soon. Zhao Lin's expression changed. She actually said that. I heard it directly from someone who heard it from HR. Zhao Lin took a deep breath. Mrs. Gu, this woman is. I don't need you to do anything extreme. I said. Just keep track of when she talks. Who she talks to. And what she says. If you can jot it down. Great. Zhao Lin nodded. No problem. She looked at me. Hesitated. Mrs. Gu, there's something else. I'm not sure if I should mention it. Go ahead. Last Thursday night. The office was working late. I left around 10. When I walked past Mr. Gu's office, I saw Zhou Nianqing coming out. I stopped moving. Was Mr. Gu inside? Yes. I saw the light on. She was alone. Yes, Zhao Lin said. And she was fixing her hair as she came out. My fingers slowly tightened on my bag strap. Fixing her hair. Yes. You know, tucking loose strands behind her ear. Zhao Lin saw my expression and quickly added. It could have been nothing. Maybe she was tired after working late and her hair got messy. I don't know for sure. I understand. I said. Thank you. When I got home, Gu Yanzhou wasn't back yet. I sat on the couch and stared at the ceiling. Fixing her hair. 10-something. Coming out of his office. I told myself it didn't mean anything. Working late. A secretary brings in documents. Steps out. Fixes her hair perfectly normal. Perfectly normal. But something inside me had already pulled taut. Gu Yanzhou pushed the door open, bringing in the night chill. He hung his coat on the rack, turned, and saw me on the couch, still awake. I looked at him. My eyes went to his collar. Neat. Clean. Waiting for you, I said. He walked over, moved to hug me the way he always did. I shifted aside and stood up to get a glass of water in the kitchen. His hand froze in midair. His brow furrowed. What's wrong? Nothing. I walked back out with the glass. Tough day. Lots of work. Not bad. I made an international call. His tone was normal. Even a little tired. I didn't ask about Zhou Nianqing. Didn't ask about the fixing her hair at 10-something. I wanted to see how far this act could go if I didn't call it out. The next day, I went to Yanzhou Tech to deliver the final project report. Director Wang met me at the elevator. Ms. Shen. Mr. Gu reviewed the proposal. He's extremely satisfied. He walked me toward the conference room, lowering his voice. A few of the major shareholders are here today. Mr. Gu wants you to present to them in person. I nodded. Fine. When I walked into the conference room, it was full. Gu Yanzhou sat at the head of the table. Zhou Nianqing stood slightly behind him, to the side, holding a notepad. When she saw me, her smile didn't waver, just a slight, professional nod. Gu Yanzhou's eyes lit up. Let's begin, he said. I opened my PowerPoint. My voice was steady. My logic clear. 30 million in tax savings wasn't a small number. The shareholders in the room went from initial skepticism to frequent nodding. Ms. Shen is truly professional, an older shareholder said approvingly. Mr. Gu. This hire is better than those big firms. Gu Yanzhou smiled, and there was undisguised pride in his voice. Naturally, that's when Zhou Nianqing spoke up. Ms. Shen, I have a question. She stepped forward, still wearing that pleasant smile. The overseas tax refund portion of this plan involves legal regulations in several countries. If there's a deviation during implementation, who bears the risk? The room went quiet. It was a tricky question, one that questioned my professional rigor. I looked at her and smiled. Secretary Zhou. Page 32 of the proposal contains a detailed risk mitigation mechanism and legal compliance explanation. I flipped to the page and put it on the screen. Additionally, I've already confirmed with 3 local law firms that this is the safest possible approach. Zhou Nianqing froze for a moment, her eyes darting across the screen. But Secretary Zhou. Gu Yanzhou cut her off. His voice was cold. You don't understand these matters. Zhou Nianqing's face paled. I'm only concerned about the company's interests, she murmured. Do your job. Gu Yanzhou gave her no quarter. After the meeting, the shareholders filed out one by one. I packed up my laptop and prepared to leave. Gu Yanzhou stopped me. Ziyi. Wait for me. Let's have lunch together. Okay. He was signing a few last papers. I waited on the couch. Zhou Nianqing didn't leave. She walked to Gu Yanzhou's desk with a stack of documents. Her voice very soft. Mr. Gu. Tonight's dinner with Director Li is scheduled for 8. Cancel it. Gu Yanzhou didn't look up. But Director Li has been trying to schedule this for. I said cancel. Gu Yanzhou's pen paused. He looked up at her. From now on, have the VP handle that kind of socializing. Zhou Nianqing bit her lip. All right. She turned. Our eyes met. In her look was a kind of grievance and resentment so thick it was about to spill over. As she passed me, I caught that familiar perfume. Definitely strong. That afternoon, I ran into Zhao Lin in the break room. She pulled me into a corner, looking rushed. Mrs. Gu, something's happened. What? Zhou Nianqing got into an argument in the cafeteria at lunch. I raised an eyebrow. With whom? With Xiao Wang from finance. Zhao Lin lowered her voice. Xiao Wang was praising your expertise. And Zhou Nianqing sneered that expertise doesn't matter if you're just being kept by your husband. I took a sip of my coffee and said nothing. Xiao Wang got angry and said you'd saved the company 30 million. Zhou Nianqing shot back that Mr. Gu had deliberately inflated your contributions. And that you'd actually left the Big Four because you weren't good enough. I smiled. This woman really knew how to spin a story. There's more. Zhao Lin looked at me. She said the only reason you won't divorce him is because your family is drowning in debt and Gu Yanzhou is the only thing keeping you afloat. I set down my cup, running my fingertip along the rim. What else did she say? She said, the only reason you suddenly started coming to the office is because you realized Mr. Gu wanted to be with her, and you panicked. So you came to stake your claim. Zhao Lin's face was red with anger. Mrs. Gu, I couldn't stand listening to it. It's fine, I said. How can it be fine? Half the company is now saying you're a gold digger and that Secretary Zhou is the real victim. I looked at Zhao Lin. Do you have evidence? I recorded it. Zhao Lin pulled out her phone. I took the phone and hit play. In the recording, Zhou Nianqing's voice had a kind of twisted pleasure. Xin Zi, what does she have besides a pretty face? Mr. Gu is soft-hearted. He feels sorry for her. So he hasn't kicked her out yet. Just wait. A marriage built on interests like that won't last long. I turned off the recording and handed the phone back. Thank you, Zhao Lin. Mrs. Gu, what are you going to do? I looked out the window at the busy office floor. Since she wants to play the victim so badly, I'll give her a show. Wednesday was Yanzhou Tech's quarterly all-hands meeting. Over 1,000 employees were there. Gu Yanzhou was on stage giving his report. I sat in the front row. In the wife's seat, Zhou Nianqing stood at the backstage entrance, coordinating the flow. After the report came the open QA session. The questions were mostly about business. Until an employee from HR, someone known to be close with Joe Nianking, stood up. Mr. Gu, I have a personal question. Gu Yanzhou frowned but nodded. Go ahead. Recently there have been a lot of rumors about you and Ms. Shen. People are saying her proposal was actually done by the team, and she took all the credit. Everyone would like to know whether the company's process for hiring external consultants includes favoritism toward relatives. The room erupted. This was a public slap in Gu Yanzhou's face and an attempt to nail me to the nepotism higher cross. I glanced toward the backstage. Zhou Nianqing's lips curled into a barely visible smile. Gu Yanzhou's face went dark. He opened his mouth. But I stood up. I turned around to face the 1,000+ employees. Your question is a good one, I said. My voice wasn't loud, but through the microphone, it reached every corner of the room. Since everyone has doubts, let's use facts. I walked onto the stage and took the remote from Gu Yanzhou's hand. A comparison chart appeared on the screen. These are the proposals from 3 other well-known tax firms that Yanzhou Tech hired over the past 3 years. And their fees. I pointed at the numbers. And this is my proposal. And my fee 0. A wave of murmurs swept through the audience. I saved the company 30 million yuan. I charged nothing. I looked at the employee who had asked the question. If you call that favoritism, then I suggest you look up the definition of uncompensated contribution. The employee froze, mouth open. I wasn't finished. As for my professional qualifications, the screen switched to a series of internationally recognized financial certifications, followed by a list of Fortune 500 clients I'd served over the past 7 years. Each one would make most people in that room uncomfortable. Secretary Joe. I suddenly turned toward the backstage entrance. Zhou Nianqing froze. You said earlier that I left the Big Four because I wasn't good enough. I looked into the microphone, enunciating every word. This is a joint letter of recommendation from the partners at that firm. Feel free to verify the reference number on the official website. Dead silence. Zhou Nianqing's face went from red to white to ashen. I turned to Gu Yanzhou. He was staring at me, his expression a mix of shock and something I'd never seen in his eyes before, a kind of fierce heat. Mr. Gu, I smiled. I'll leave the rest to you. I walked off the stage and straight out of the venue. Behind me, Gu Yanzhou's voice was cold as ice. HR. Look into the hiring background of that employee. And Secretary Joe. My office. Now. I walked out of the building. The sunlight was blinding. Tao Rant's car was already waiting at the curb. Satisfied? She asked through the rolled-down window. Not bad. I got in and buckled my seatbelt. Now the whole company knows you're the real deal. Tao Ran started the engine. Zhou Nianqing is probably packing her things. I watched the office building shrink in the side mirror. Packing her things. I laughed coldly. That's just the beginning. She liked telling stories, so I'd make sure she became the villain in one with no chance of a comeback. At dinner time, Gu Yanzhou hadn't come home. He texted me, handling some things. Home late. I didn't reply. I was waiting for a message from Zhao Lin. At 10 o'clock. Zhao Lin sent a video. Surveillance footage from the company hallway. Zhou Nianqing came out of Gu Yanzhou's office looking like her soul had been sucked out of her. She had to brace herself against the wall to keep from falling. Then came a screenshot of an HR announcement. Termination. Notice for Zhou Nianqing. Serious violation of company policies. Spreading false rumors damaging the company's image. Announced company-wide. In Yanzhou Tech's history, this was the first time. I turned off my phone and leaned back on the couch. The door opened. Gu Yanzhou walked in, looking exhausted and, for the first time, guilty. He came to me, knelt down, and took my hands. I'm sorry. I looked at him. For what? For being so oblivious. For letting her take advantage. For making you suffer through all this. His voice was hoarse. She's gone. I pulled my hands back and looked him in the eye. Gu Yanzhou, do you think her leaving makes it all better? He froze. The rumors she spread about my family's debts have already reached my clients. I stood up. This afternoon, 2 of my major clients terminated their contracts. Gu Yanzhou shot to his feet. How can that be? Because in their eyes, a financial consultant from a debt-ridden family who relies on her husband to get ahead isn't trustworthy. I looked at him, speaking slowly and clearly. Gu Yanzhou, you destroyed my professional reputation. His face went white. I'll explain. Explanations won't fix it, I said. I walked to the drawer and pulled out a document. I set it on the table. This is a divorce agreement. Gu Yanzhou stopped breathing. Ziyi, you're joking, right? I'm not joking. I looked at him. For 3 years. For this marriage, I stayed invisible. I even gave up the chance to enter your social circle. And what did I get in return? Your silence. Her arrogance. The collapse of my career. I pointed at the door. Since you couldn't protect me, I'll protect myself. Gu Yanzhou stared at the document. His hand was trembling. I won't sign it. Suit yourself. I picked up the suitcase I'd already packed. My lawyer will be in touch. I walked out the door. Behind me, I heard Gu Yanzhou's muffled roar and the crash of something heavy hitting the floor. I didn't look back. I got into Tao Rant's car. She looked at me. Really divorcing? Yes, I said. And Zhou Nianqing. She thinks getting fired was the end. I laughed coldly. She ruined my reputation with lies. The law will teach her what an ending looks like. A month later, Zhou Nianqing received a court summons. Defamation and reputational harm. I'd hired the best lawyer in the field. The evidence chain was complete. It even included the transfer records of her paying an employee to spread rumors. She came to beg me. At my studio entrance, she knelt on the ground, crying like a broken flower. Mr. Gu, I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I just loved Mr. Gu too much. I looked down at her. My eyes held nothing. Your love is cheap. I walked past her and into the elevator. On the day of the verdict, Zhou Nianqing was ordered not only to issue a public apology but also to pay a massive sum in damages, enough to keep her in debt for the next 10 years. As for Gu Yanzhou, he showed up outside my studio every day. Flowers, meals, letters. He even took out a full-page apology in the industry-wide newspaper, admitting his failure and listing every single one of my professional achievements. Slowly, my clients came back. And because of the scandal, my reputation actually grew. Everyone knew now. Xin Ziyi was a force to be reckoned with, professional, and not to be messed with. 6 months later, I finished my last case of the day and walked out of my studio. Gu Yanzhou was leaning against his car, holding a coat. Ziyi, it's getting cold. He walked over and carefully draped the coat over my shoulders. I didn't refuse. Gu Yanzhou. Yeah. Hope flickered in his eyes. About remarrying. We'll see. I looked at the sunset. Right now, I think being alone is pretty nice. The light in his eyes dimmed, then brightened again. Okay, I'll wait. I smiled, turned, and walked toward the parking lot. I'd already taken back my place. As for the man, we'll see how I feel.